Hi, hello. This is kind of an awkward spot. I filmed the video, I think my last video here. I'm in my bedroom against a wall because my son is sleeping. My daughter is having pad time. And so this is the only time I have to come and hide in our bedroom and film this video. But I'm just gonna jump right into it. This is part 2 of my budgeting series. I don't like to say series, but part 2 of my budgeting videos, and then there will be probably just one more part 3. But now you watched my first video. If you have not, go back and watch that first. And then this video, what it is it's talking about what to do on a monthly basis. So before I tell you what I do, I want to make it clear that there are so many different ways of budgeting month to month. There's apps, which if you need an app, if you are an app person, if you like to do things on your phone, I am not. I don't like using my calendar on my phone. I am a pen and paper kind of gal, or pencil and paper. And so I am not, just in general, a fan of things being on my phone. So if you are, I am going to suggest right now to download Every Dollar. It's Dave Ramsey's budgeting app. It's completely free, and you can make your budget right on that app. Everything you need to know is on there. So if you need a good app, that's a good one. I basically do the same thing, just on paper. I have the app. I looked at it and I went through it and saw how they did it, what kind of categories they had, and all that good stuff. And then I've just put it into my own version. And again, with budgeting, especially the month-to-month budgeting, this is not talking about the big numbers, the big picture. This is the day-to-day budgeting, and this is the little stuff that matters. So with that being said, you need to find what works for you. If you are doing something and it's not working, then you need to try something else, because budgeting should not be hard. It should be something you do every single month. I do it every time we get paid, so twice a month. Our main, my husband's pay. I get paid multiple different ways, and I make money multiple different ways, but we do our bills, like our main bills, with my husband's income, what he brings home. And then all the stuff I do is just kind of extra. That's gas, that's groceries, that's eating out, all that kind of stuff. If we want anything else, that's what we do with my income. But his income pays the bills, savings, all that stuff. So again, I do this twice a month, but I don't care how you do it. You need to be budgeting every single month. Things change. You don't just do it one time and that's your budget, this is it and that's it. Like, you need to revisit this every single month. This is not a workout regimen that you start doing and then you fall off the wagon. Like, that's not this. Your money, your income is not something to play around with. It's not something to be a goal, like, oh, my goal is to sit down and do my budget every month. No. If you're an adult, you have an income and you have bills, you need to be budgeting your money. And when I say budget your money, I live by every dollar concept, meaning every dollar that comes in is spent in one which way or another. At the end of the day, when I'm trying to think of because to me, this is not that much information to share. I am an open book. I don't, if someone wants to sit down and talk with me, I'll tell them everything about myself so that way they know, real life. But I also have to understand what's appropriate to talk about, what's not. So just work with me here, because I'm my head's thinking while I'm talking. And Okay, so long story short is we have 3 bank accounts, and we have one that the income comes into. So it's everything gets put into that bank account. Then, all like direct deposits, all of that stuff. And then that is the account we pay bills out of. Then we have our emergency fund bank account. That's strictly our emergency fund. That's it. We don't have a debit card to that. We don't have, the only access we have to that bank account is going to the bank. That's it, because an emergency fund is not something you want to have access to, because you will find more often than not, emergencies, what you may think is emergency at one moment is really not an emergency. So by having access to it, but not immediate access to it, like a debit card would, it kind of makes you, double check that really is an emergency. And so if we do really need it, we can get it, but not immediately. And then one other bank account, which is my business bank account, but that's something totally different. And so where I'm going with that is, our money that we get all of our, direct deposits, we put all of our money into, we pay bills out of, that bank account is zeroed out every 2 weeks. Every time we get paid. I do not have my savings in that same account, because that money will get used one which way or the other. And it may work for some people. It does not work for us. We believe in assigning every single dollar a place, whether that's paying towards a bill, whether that's buying a new pressure washer, whether that is putting in savings. Every dollar that comes into this account is spent. So like, if you ask me, 2 weeks in advance, hey, like, we're going to the beach, would you guys want to come with us? Or we're going, out, like something that's spending a lot of money, I will most likely have to say, no, I'm sorry. Every dollar is spent, and we have it budgeted for and accounted for, and we don't have room in our budget. But, let me know in advance next time, and I can figure out a way to fit it in. And to some people, that's so weird, because it's like, well, so you don't have any money? Well, no, we're not broke. Like, we have money, but it's spent. It is all spent already. Every dollar is assigned. And once that budget is set in stone, obviously, if it's something we really, really, really want to do, we can move things around and make it work. But for the most part, everything is set in stone, and that's the way our money is allotted for certain things, and that's it, period. So it always throws people off when we're asked to do something last minute and we aren't able to, or whatever. We've gotten more, lenient over the years, but for the most part, it is what it is. So with that being said, you need to assign every single dollar a place to go. If not, what happens is, and this is not a across the board answer. Everyone is different. There are some people out there who can have money in their account and not spend it. But studies show that you spend that money, not all of it. I'm not saying you're going to spend every dime, but you are more likely to spend some of that money going out to eat here or going to do this here if it's just sitting there. So when you get paid, every dollar needs to be accounted for. When you're going to the grocery store, you don't just go to the grocery store with, $500 in your, in your account and just say, well, as long as I don't spend that $500, I'm good, No, you need to have a budget for groceries. I don't even care if you're making $1 million. You shouldn't be blowing money at a grocery store. You need to have a set amount that you plan on spending, and that's if you don't, don't go above that. Same with going out to eat. If your family likes to go out to eat, well, you need to have a budget for that. When you do your budget, a lot of the times people just look at their bills and say, okay, well, I add up my bills, I have to make a minimum of $3,000. I'm just pulling that number out of my butt. But, you know, I have to make at least $3,000 because my bills are total to being $3,000. Well, yeah, your bills may total to be $3,000, but how much are you guys going out to eat 3 times a week? Because that can easily be $100 to $150 a week. Times that by 4, well, you're spending way more than $3,000 a month. Even you have to consider groceries, eating out. And I say eating out a lot because it is such a big money spender. People spend so much money eating out. It's insane. Oil changes, you know, personal care items, you know, soap, you know, deodorant, razors. That's the stuff you have to think about and put in your budget. It's something that you have to buy. And so, you know, when you're looking at your budget, don't just look at your bills. You have to include everything. Do your kids need clothes? I'm going to ask you if you need clothes, but probably you don't, but you're probably going to buy them anyways. But if you're planning on spending that money, if you're planning on the money going out towards that specific item, you need to budget it in. And if it's not budgeted in, then at the end of the month, you're going to look back and go, where the heck did our money go? I thought we had $500 left over. Well, no, you didn't have $500 left over. You just didn't budget properly. You didn't include all of the things that you're spending on. So with that being said, every dollar has a category for all of that stuff. So it really helps you break it down if you've never budgeted before, because it'll help you think of other categories that you like never really thought about before, but you are spending money on. Hold on one second. So when figuring out your budget, you have to budget every single thing you are spending money on needs to be included, right? So with that being said, okay, so when you really start getting down to the nitty gritty, first things first, you need to write all of your bills out on a piece of paper. And I suggest to do this on well, I have like a little note card basically, and that is my actual bills, because even though I pay them every single month, I never remember the exact due dates, and I will get back to that on why. I don't know, excuse me, I don't know off the top of my head the exact due date for these bills. But you need to write all of them out. So mortgage, health insurance, internet, TV, phone bill, all of that stuff. But here's my thing. I strongly suggest you to write them in order of when they come in the month. So our mortgage is due first. It's due on the first of the month. So that's my first bill. And then right next to it, I write the due date, not the amount, not the total. All we need to know on this piece of paper is what the bill is and the due date. And these are the bills that are due every month. So not a random medical bill that you need to pay this month that, you know, once you pay it off, it's done. Don't include that in this list. In this note card, just have your bills that are due every single month and then the due date in order. So mortgage is first, health insurance is due between the 4th and the 6th. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think like internet's due next, and then my gym membership is due next, and then you get the point. So do that first. And if you need to, pause this video and go do that, and then, you know, come back and finish the rest. The next thing you need to do is figure out what days you get paid. So the reason that I do this every single month too is because we don't get paid on like the 1st and the 15th. I would love if that were how it worked, because it would make life so much easier. You know, you could have things set up on auto pay, which, let me pause real quick, and I am going to talk about my husband and myself. Now, my mother-in-law, we actually just had a conversation about this the other day. She has everything on auto draft, or like automatically coming out of her account on specific days, the day she gets paid, whatever. I believe it's because she gets paid on like the same days of the month or something like that. And it works for her. She knows exactly what's in her account, the days it's going to automatically come out, all of the things. I tried that and it did not work for my husband and I. I think it's because, we get paid every 2 weeks. And so it's random throughout the month in the sense that, what's August? I think it's August. We get paid like 3 times in the month, where normally it's twice a month. And so our pay is never on the same day. And I don't like that money just sitting there in the account when, I know that a bill is going to come out 4 days later. Because what happens, and this is not for, like, I am on top of our finances and stuff, and my husband obviously is too, but in the past, that money was spent on something because I thought, or I was like, oh, I thought I paid that bill already, but it ended up not being paid yet, and so then it came out of our account and overdrafted our account. I have spent so much money on overdrafts when I first learned to be an adult. That's banks, that's how they make their money, guys. Their money is in auto draft fees. It's such a waste of money. You have to be on top of your stuff. And I can say this because I'm coming from a place where I have spent hundreds of dollars on overdraft fees. And as embarrassing as that is to admit, I just was trying to figure out how to budget. And before I found this way, I tried my best, but anyways, so again, find out what works best for you. There is not one way to do this. This is just how it works for my husband and I. We have tried other ways, and this is the best way for us. So with that being said, figure out the days that you get paid. So look at a calendar and you get paid on, like, let's say you count out 2 weeks and it's the 7th and the 21st or something like that. Yeah, because that'd be right. So what you do is then you take a look at your note card that you wrote all your bills down, and on the 7th, right? So it's hard to explain exactly, but what is due between the 7th and the 21st, what bills are due. And you can look at that because now you're looking at the due dates on that card, on your note card. And so figure out what is due between the 7th and the 21st. And if a bill is due on the 21st, include that in the 7th one and write all of those bills down in your calendar on that date that you get paid. And then vice versa. So on the 21st, so go from the 22nd and then 32. So basically it would be the first of that next month. Everything from the 22nd to the 1st of the next month, figure out what bills are going to be due during that time. Write it down in your calendar on what those days, on what bills need to be paid on that paycheck. Now, you're going to have to be doing some adjusting. And what I mean by that is, and I'm just going to tell you, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but like we have always, it's set up this way, where one paycheck is paying the mortgage and health insurance. That's it. That's the only bills that can be paid on that paycheck. And then the next paycheck, all the other bills are paid with that one. That's just how it's worked for us. And that's just how we've had to budget it out. So with that being said, if you're looking at your schedule and you see that the 21st paycheck, so the 22nd to the 1st of the month, that means that paycheck holds our mortgage payment, which is on the 1st of the month. Well, that takes a lot of that money away. So what I have to do is I have to move, like let's say, I'm giving you an example. So I'm trying to think of what bill, like dental insurance, that's due on the 23rd. Well, that's $100. and I can't pay that with paying insurance and mortgage. So I am going to move that bill up to the 14th. Okay, so let me get to this. Okay, I know this is like all over the place, but you just have to follow me here, right? We pay all of our bills on the day we get paid. So the morning, there's a lot of money in the, not a lot, but like money in the account. By the end of the day, we're down to nothing at all in that account. In one day, it comes in and it goes out, because if that money is in that account, it will get spent, or it's more tempting to let's just go out to dinner or whatever. So we pay all of our bills the day we get paid. That way, that money isn't even ours there to touch. It's already spent anyways. It just makes it easier, because then you're able to figure out what can you save, how much can you save, and all that stuff, which I'll get back to that in a minute. I'll come back to that. So that is when you can make your adjustments, because I know that on the 7th, when I pay all of our other bills, I need to pay the bills like dental insurance that I can't afford on the next paycheck. I'm going to pay that early and pay it on the 7th. I hope this makes sense. It makes sense in my mind, but as I'm explaining it, I feel like I'm talking Spanish. Anyways, I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so you adjust accordingly. Now, this is going to take some trial and error. It will. You need to just start, though. And where it can be a little bit easier is on the app. It helps you a little bit more. It's easier for me to see on paper, and then I just erase and write it elsewhere. And you just have to start. And okay, so I'm going to go back to the savings comment. If you wait to the end of the month to then decide how much you can put in savings, you will never save. You will never save money. You need to treat your savings account like a bill. That means when you're paying all your bills, you pay your bill to your savings account. The way you know how much to pay to your savings account is because you've wrote out all of your bills and you've added it up, and you realize that you have $500 left over. Well, if you're really properly budgeting, that means you've accounted groceries. You've accounted your entertainment expenses, which is like eating out or going to the movies or a date night. You've counted gas. You should have a allotted amount of money for gas every month. And if you need to, use the envelope system. So what I do, for example, a bill that's not actually a bill, Garrett's drill. For military, he has to go away every single month, and that he has to go all the way down south. That's a 4-hour drive. So he not only has to have a lot of gas, toll money, he has to get a haircut, he needs food, and it's obviously usually eating out like Chick-fil-A or whatever. So I have to allot $150 every month. Now, that's not technically a bill I can go out and pay for. And in order to make sure that I have saved enough for that, I go to the bank, I get that $150 out, and I put it in an envelope. Groceries. Now, I have done this for so long now that basically at the end, whenever we get paid, everything has been paid, savings have been paid or whatever, my grocery envelope is what's left in our bank account. So on my debit card, that is the allotted money for groceries. So that means that in that bank account, there's, maybe anywhere from probably $200 to $300. And that's only for groceries for the next 2 weeks. And so that debit card cannot be swiped for anything else. That's just for groceries. So if anything, you can look at my debit card as being like my grocery envelope. You need a gas envelope. So if you guys spend $100 in gas a week, then you need to take $100 out of your account and put it in that envelope. I'm trying to think what else. Eating out, date night. Have a date night envelope. Have a, I'm trying to think of other things that I have envelopes for, but I'm drawing a blank. A Christmas envelope. You know, Christmas is coming every single year. I don't know why people just throw their budgets out the door and then, kind of freak out when it's time for Christmas and like throw it on a credit card. Like, dude, you've known that Christmas is coming. Why wouldn't you have prepared accordingly? Birthdays, a birthday envelope. So always have $100 in that envelope for birthdays that month. And that way, if, anyone's birthday is coming up, you have money to spend to go out to eat for their birthday, a gift, etc. And so that's how you have to do it. You have to prepare for everything that will take your money, every single bill. And even though those things like gas is technically not like a bill that has a due date, it's money that's being spent out, and you have to keep track of that. If not, the end of the 2 weeks will come up and you're like, where the heck did my money go? And you won't make it to those end of those 2 weeks because you did not budget accordingly. You cannot, start freaking out because you have to pay for groceries. Well, I'm sorry, sweetheart, but you knew you needed groceries. Every week you need groceries. So it's not a surprise. So why aren't you budgeting for it? And then I am going to finish this off with saying, and there will be a part 3 that will go over other things, but at this point, you will realize that you either have enough money to cover all of your expenditures, or you will realize that you do not have enough money coming in to cover the money that's going out. With that being said, that probably means that there's credit cards in the picture, and you should go cut up those credit cards right now. Credit cards, for the most part, if you're using them to get by, to save yourself for those 2 weeks, that way the next time you get paid, it'll cover that or whatever, that is a sign of poor planning. Stop using the credit cards. You don't need the credit cards. You are just not taking responsibility for your bills and your budgeting, and you need to figure it out. Every once in a while, every other month or so, I take a look at our bills and I look, where can I not cut corners, but what can I cut? What can I, adjust? And so, for example, I took a look at my gym membership and I was spending $50. Now, granted, we're able to cover our bills every month. So no, technically I don't have to do this, but your income is the only thing you have to build a future with. That's it. So don't just let that money be wasted. Account for every single dollar. That extra $20 that you just didn't really realize you needed for groceries, that could have gone into a savings account or a Roth IRA or a 401k or whatever that may be. And so always be looking for ways to save money. So for example, I one time looked at our bills and was like, all right, these are getting a little bit high. I don't like to feel tight, if you will. So what can I do to adjust? I took a look and I'm like, my gym membership, I was paying for classes. I was never using that. I'm just not a classes kind of person. I actually used to be, and that's why I was paying for it. And so I just realized that I'm just not anymore. So I went to the gym, I canceled that, and I saved $15 a month. That adds up. Imagine doing that to every single bill. So for example, your phone bill. There are always ways to lower that. There are always ways to save money. And, you know, we found, as I just continued to just keep an eye on T-Mobile, you know, what their deals they're offering or whatever, they offered military discounts, which was half off your bill. So we were paying, I don't remember how much, but I saved half of our bill, like $60, because I just constantly was looking for a good deal. What else? I'm trying to think of other bills that I've, you know, saved, but you know, there are a few bills like Spotify that my husband loves. That's what he likes. As annoying as it is to pay $10 a month for music when you can listen to that same music, you just have commercials, irks me. That's what he likes. So we have to spend, we spend $10 a month on Spotify. And so, there were other bills. I'm trying to think of what it was. I don't remember. It was like $5 a month though, what he was doing. It was something for hunting or whatever. And I was like, okay, look, you can't have both. Pick one, because yes, we can afford it, but it's ridiculous that we're spending this much money for like what? So he chose to have Spotify instead of this app. And I did the same thing. I have to, you know, allot myself a certain amount of money to do certain things. If I feel like I'm getting not out of control, but if I feel like I'm spending more money than I would like, I have to cut back in some which way or another. Always keep yourself in check. Always make sure that your money isn't just flying out the door. That, you know, if I were to come up to you tomorrow and say, well, you know, you have $50 in your account, but where did all your money go? What did you spend it on? You could then sit there and say, oh, well, this, and this, and this is exactly where our money went. And then this 100 went to savings. Treat your savings like a bill. If you take anything from this video, take that. Your savings is a bill. It needs a due date. It needs a certain amount, and always account for that. If you have not, please like this video. Let me know that this is the type of things you guys like to watch. It's hard to put into words exactly what you do every single month, but I hope it helped you guys. I would love to continue with these videos. It's something I enjoy talking about. And so, like I said, like the video. If you have not yet, please subscribe to my channel. I'm almost to 100, and so that was my goal, is to at least hit 100 subscribers, and I would really love to hit that. And thank you guys so much for making it this far in the video, and I hope you all have a blessed day. Bye.